What's going on? Hey everyone, how you guys doing today? Come on in, say hey, let me know where you're watching from. If you're brand new to the show, welcome. Hopefully you'll come back and see us. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. It is 1:13 Central Standard Time, and I'm here as promised doing a live stream. My schedule is every Tuesday and Thursday. If you don't know who I am, I'm Danielle Pierce, creator of Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, and a few other companies as well, and I'm super glad to be here today. So, hey Twan, hey Gift the Next Day. There was an article that came out in Business Insider, I believe. And it was dated on, let me double check, December the 5th. So just 4 days ago. And the article was talking about how the most of the private equity clients from Goldman Sachs are in fact preparing for a recession. And I was like, wow, because we've been hearing talk about a recession for quite a while, for quite some time now. And then I went back to do some more research to see what other articles there were. And you guys, there are easily 10, 15, 20 different articles from very reputable sources that are basically saying the same thing since the end of last year. So what do we do with this information? that's the takeaway. Because of course, a lot of us are not. I know I'm not super wealthy yet, and I know that the goal is for some of us to get to that point. But what do we do with the fact that how do we prepare for a pending recession? Because I do think that there's one coming. Just because history, right? I mean, everything is cyclical, and what goes up must come down. I think we all know that already. So I do think that one is imminent. As far as the exact month and year, I mean, that's up for debate. But I wanted to talk about, what could we do to prepare for an upcoming recession. So with that being stated, of course, I had a handy dandy list of a few things that came to mind very quickly as I was going through the article. And I wanted to share them with you guys today and just get some feedback and see what you thought about it. See if you guys have any ideas of your own. I love to, hear about those as well. But come in, say hey, hit the comment section. Say hey in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up as well. Just helps the YouTube algorithm, do its thing. So definitely appreciate that. So I was thinking, one of the best things that you could do in order to prepare for a recession is, of course, is to start a business. And the reason why you want to start the business is to maximize tax write-offs. And I've said this before on a few live streams, but I wanted to kind of clarify a little bit more today because I realize that some people are probably not sure what this means or why people keep saying that starting a business will save them money. So I'll give you a very quick example. Let's say you have a job. Let's take my job. When I graduated from University of Illinois, my job it was $50,000 per year. And so at the end of my very first year, I owed the IRS, I want to say it was $1,300 or $1,800. I wasn't very happy about that because they had taken so much money during the year. So of course I owed them money. I had no children. I wasn't married, nothing. It was just me and they were just taking the money out, every 2 weeks. And that's what they do. As a mother would always say, the more you make, the more they take. So fast forward a couple of years after that, I started my very first business. And I remember going to a workshop with a bunch of white guys. It was like, and if you're from Chicago, you know that a lot of the real estate workshops, they'll say Chicago, but it's actually like Schaumburg or Deerfield or Naperville or somewhere like that. So I drove way out there to this event, but I'm glad that I went. I'm glad that I went, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they broke down for me what I'm about to break down for you. He said I can't remember the guy's name, but he was talking to the audience, really good presenter, really good guy. And he was saying that I can get you a tax refund of $8,000, if you have a job and you make $50,000 a year. So of course I'm like, well, shit, that's me, show me how to do it. Like, I'm all ears. And he took out a whiteboard and he broke down the example that we're about to go through. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. So basically how it works is that, let's say you make $50,000 a year. And of course you pay taxes on $50,000 a year because employee income is the most heavily taxed. I think we all can agree on that. Yes. So there's that. So then let's say you start a business, and let's say your startup costs for that business are, let's say, an even $20,000 a year, right? Well, $20,000 for that first year that you're getting that business off the ground. But you still keep your deductions the same on your, I think it's the W-9 form. You still keep all that information the same. So at the end of that year, when you start your business, and this could be if you start your business like at pretty much at any point during the year, you've paid taxes on $50,000, but because you started this business and had $20,000 in losses, you actually only owe taxes on $30,000. So that's where the refund comes in at. So let's say for me, in my example, at $50,000 a year, I probably was paying, I want to say about just straight federal taxes alone, $9,000. We'll round it up to $10,000 to make it easy. So I was paying, let's say, $10,000 a year for federal taxes alone. Um, and obviously that's a lot of money. And that's not including the state of Illinois, which took 3% and all the other stuff that they take money out for. So I was paying the federal taxes of $10,000. I just lost my train of thought. It's coming back. 50 a year, pay taxes on 30. Oh, I get it. So I was paying $10,000 in federal taxes on that $50,000 salary. Well, if my taxable income goes down to only $30,000, I don't owe $10,000. Let's say I owe $5,000. So then I get a $5,000 refund. That's how it worked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. Why did I know about this? And of course, again, the audience, primarily people who didn't look like me, primarily men, but they were all kind of knowing about this already. And of course, I'm there and I didn't know anything about it. So the very next year is when I finally got my very first tax refund, just by starting the business, deducting the startup cost, and not changing my deductions at my 9-to-5 job is how it worked. I was like, oh, this is genius. So there's that. So that's one thing. So start a business will help you save money in taxes. It will actually help you get a refund. Second thing is that if there's a recession that's coming, I think that if you have a business already, you should look into actually paying your children as part of your business. So they can do work for you and they can actually be paid up to $12,000 for the year. And your children can. So of course I looked into this for myself. My children are 8, 7, and 5. And the catch is that they actually have to be doing something legitimate. Like you can't just issue them checks and QuickBooks and say, and they have them deposit in their accounts and say, oh, they're doing, X, Y, and Z, and I'm paying them $12,000 a year. They have to actually be doing something legitimate, which generally means that they have to be old enough to be doing something legitimate. I mean, 8 is probably, my 8-year-old daughter could probably do some things. My 7-year-old son, I don't know what he gonna do with my 5-year-old. I don't know what she gonna do neither, besides twirl around and and do kicks and act like a princess. I don't know. But if your children are a little bit older, or if you use them in things like marketing for your business, or any type of video promotions that you do, you could pay them up to $12,000 for the year. So of course, again, that reduces your taxable income. And I was like, oh, that's a very cool idea. I didn't take advantage of it this year, but again, my children are still pretty young. I think that if you have older children, you should definitely do so. And you still have a little bit of time to make that happen. So talk with a CPA, or I prefer, they're called enrolled agents. They have experience with the IRS. I prefer them. So speak with them to see how you can best take advantage of that. And if you got multiple kids, $12,000 times 3 is $36,000. I mean, that's a pretty big deal to have that money set aside and not have to worry about paying taxes on it per se. Does that make sense? All right. So starting a business, paying your children if you have a business already. Of course, lowering your interest rates. I mean, that's kind of like common sense. Reducing debt. I don't think that this is the time to be going out to finance new cars. And actually, I'll go a step further. I'm not sure that this is the best time to go out and finance new houses either. Not unless you have a specific investment strategy for it. But I think just buying a house just for the hell of it, just because you want something nice, and then paying full market value for that house, I'm not sure that that's the smartest move with an impending recession. I'm not sure that's the smartest move when it's not a recession, to be honest. I mean, I know that we all want really nice things, and we want to come home and feel like our house represents that we work hard when we come home. I think that's what a lot of us want. And I definitely understand that, but a large mortgage payment and an impending recession, I just don't think that it goes well together, because typically housing values are one of the first things to drop. And when that value drops and you've financed a house at $300,000 and you found out, 18 months later it's worth $200,000, like that is one of the world's worst feelings. Trust me, because I know I've been there, and it's not something that you want to experience. So that's just my recommendation. Of course, people can go out and do as they please, right? What else was that I recommend? So reducing debt. Oh, send your children to junior college. I think we've talked about this before, But there's nothing wrong with junior college. It's a way to save a lot of money. First 2 years of college is just basic stuff. I think we all know that by now. And you can always transfer to whatever college you want, in your third year of college. Send your children to college early and have them start getting credits that way if you're still like, super stoked about them getting a degree. But also keep in mind that the top companies like Google and Apple, and I think I saw Dell and some other companies as well, they are foregoing the college degree requirement. So it's still listed in some of the job applications as preferred, but it is not an absolute requirement. So what does that tell you? Not saying that it doesn't have any value, but just be very strategic about where you send your children and be very strategic about the amount of debt that you take on their behalf, and also the amount of debt that they take on as well. That's another thing that I would recommend. I think building business credit would be is always a great idea, but I think that in particular in cases of a recession, if and when it comes, I think that it is an amazing idea to do that right now. And it's really not that hard. Matter of fact, I did a video on it. You can go back and check it out. It's called Start Any Business and Build Business Credit. And it's pretty straightforward. You have to basically set up the company, pick an LLC or S, or, whatever structure that most suits whatever you're trying to do. And then you follow the instructions on how to build the business credit. Like there's layers to it. So you have to do one level first before you go to the next level and the next level. It's really not that hard though. I mean, all the companies are listed, all the websites are there. You just go and you just apply in the specific order and start to build your paydex score to get your business credit score up. And again, it's pretty straightforward. And I hate to make it, I hate to make it sound that easy, because some people have like searched the internet for months and years trying to figure it out and paid for, a lot of different classes. I mean, I paid for classes too, and I think the classes were worthwhile. But if you follow the instructions in that video, you can do the same thing. All right. Business credit is another one. What about this? Somebody let me know in the comments what you think about this. What about being able to make money without a job, right? If there's a recession coming, right, wouldn't it behoove all of us to learn how to make money without a job? Wouldn't that be like the best and smartest thing ever? And what about being able to teach that skill to our children? I think that being able to make money without a job, or someone telling you that you go to this place, I'll pay you $12 or $15 or $20 an hour for this amount of time, and you'll get this amount of money every 2 weeks. I think that if you can make money outside of that structure and those parameters, I think that you would never be broke. I think it is just as important a skill as I think it's just as important as breathing, to be honest. I really do. And what it does is it empowers you to, once you get your very first, I don't even care if it's like $25, y'all. Once you get your very first payment from somebody who's paying you outside of the job structure that you, especially if that's all you've ever done, once that happens, you'll be like, holy crap, somebody paid me money for something. And I made this money. I didn't have to be at this job. I didn't have to drive here. I didn't have to take this Uber. I didn't have to take this train. That is a very freeing feeling. And I want everybody to experience it at least once, and then go on to continue to duplicate that time and time again. Because as we all know, when the recession comes, the company, especially if you work in corporate America, they're going to start downsizing, right sizing, whatever term they come out with, to kind of justify the fact they're going to be laying off thousands of people around the country. And they don't give a shit about you at the end of the day, right? They do not care. They will make it sound good. They'll say things like, oh, we can revisit this in 6 months or a year, or maybe, you can have your job back. Like they'll try to ease you into it, but they will not lose any sleep once they lay you off from that job. And I don't care where you work. I don't care if you're the highest performer, you're the rock star. They tell you they don't know what they did without you. These are all lies, my friends, because that company has been around before you, and it's going to be around and continue to be around after you. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're struggling with loyalty and should I do my own thing, or what business should I start, and what is my job going to say, think about how they would treat you if the roles were reversed. And 99 times out of 100, when it's time to let you go, they're going to say, we're very sorry. Here's some compensation and the amount of whatever they can come up with, and they're going to let you go. There's not any loyalty there. So I want you to have that same mentality when you're dealing with that job and planning out the rest of your life as well. Okay. So I definitely think being able to make money without a job is critical. There's digital products. There's you could do group coaching. And let me say this because a lot of people are kind of getting pissed off about the digital marketing game and the and the coaching thing because people are putting together like these bullshit courses and selling them. And I can't say that I've really seen it. Have I seen it? I can't say that I have really seen it, but I do hear people complaining about it quite a bit. So let me say this. I'm not talking about just waking up and throwing something together and seeing if you can get somebody to pay for something that you know is subpar. I'm obviously not talking about that. And I'm saying that just to make it clear that I'm talking about, legitimate products that add value to, the people that you're trying to sell to. So maybe maybe you're a great cook, a great chef. Maybe you could put together a cookbook. Maybe you're really good at searching the internet. There are people on Fiverr.com, and they're like professional internet searchers. And you can hire them to pretty much search any topic on any industry of anything, and they'll issue you back a report of things that they've located. I've done it twice so far over the past few years, and it works. It's amazing. If you don't have time to surf the web for hours to do research, like let people do it for you. You can get paid for that. Like there's so many different skill sets and areas of specialization that you can do so that you can bring in money. So I think that you should tap into just one of those and give it a go just to see how it works out for you, because again, you need to be able to bring in money without somebody paying you. All right. Hey, ready, set, well. um, and then, of course, I'm going to talk about buying land and property without a mortgage because, duh. I mean, I'm a very big proponent of tax lien auctions. I am super proud that when I receive the emails and inboxes and phone calls and chatbot messages from people who are going to their first auction because I've inspired them to do so, or they're scheduled to go to their first auction, or they've even acquired properties. I think that it is amazing and outstanding, because I think that I shouldn't say I think, I know that once your eyes are opened, they can never be closed again, at least in this regard. So to the extent that you can go to your very first auction, even if you don't have money, even if you don't have credit to buy anything, even if you don't know what the hell is going on, to the extent that you can go and see the range of properties that are sold, and just in terms of pricing, like some may sell for, again, this depends on the area. Some may sell for a couple thousand, some may sell for a couple 100,000. But my point is, once you see what it's like to basically play Monopoly at some of these tax lien auctions and acquire properties without having a mortgage, I think you're going to be hooked. I know that I am, right? I think that you're going to be hooked. And so once that happens, you'll quickly realize that, man, I can just save enough money to go buy a property and then not have to worry about Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or any of the other big banks coming in and basically telling me anything because I own this property free and clear. I think that level of freedom is something that is not talked about enough, especially in our community. And I think that it is something that we all should be striving for. I mean, having a mortgage I'm not going to say it's great, it's okay. But owning a house with no mortgage attached to it is brilliant. Speaking of that, I got I think it was a Facebook inbox from somebody, and they said that their father is 72 years old, and he was about to sign off on a reverse mortgage, but the son had watched the video that I did about reverse mortgages, and he was explaining to his father that, once you pass, we only have a short amount of time to come up with all the money that they gave you before they sell the house. And the father didn't believe him. So he sent my video to his father. And of course, and I shouldn't say of course, and then his father believed him. And I'm not sure why that is, because I'm pretty sure that the son told him the same thing that I said in the video. Maybe hearing a third person that doesn't know him talk about those things is kind of what was the missing piece that he needed. I'm not sure, but either way, I'm very glad that his father has a house that he owns debt, with no mortgage, and opted out of getting the reverse mortgage. And for those of you who don't know what a reverse mortgage is, it's basically when people own a house free and clear, the bank comes in and they say, hey, we're going to give you money every month and you don't have to pay us back. That's literally how they sell it. And people who are, elderly, not as tech savvy, not as internet savvy, not as savvy to the BS ploys of shady banks, they go for it. And so they'll receive money every single month for, a few months or a few years. And of course, they die because everyone dies. And after that person passes, depending upon the bank, you may have anywhere from 30 days to 3 months, 6 months, or whatever to come up with all that money that the bank paid out. And if you don't, the bank then forecloses on the property. So what was once a free and clear property with no debt attached to it now becomes a property that is owned by a bank. Because of course, the average Black family is not going to be able to come up with, you know, let's say you got $1,000 a month for 2 years. What's that? 24,000. The average family is not going to be able to come up with $24,000 in 60 days. And not to mention there's penalties, there's fees, there's interest. It is a dirty, dirty game. I think that reverse mortgages, of course, like most things, it's an option, but I think that it's one that very few of us should take advantage of. Only person who should take advantage of a reverse mortgage are people who come from families who have money to repay all that debt in this short amount of time that they have. Outside of that, if you're broke and your family doesn't have any money, like that's not the option for you, because what you think that you're passing down a house to your offspring, and at the end of the day, you just pass and they're not going to get that house because the bank is going to foreclose and resell the property. That's how it works. Okay. So there's that. Next up, the last thing I want to talk about is life insurance. A lot of us think that people are rich because they're smarter. They went to Ivy League schools. They had more opportunities and more research, and all those things are true. But you know why a lot of families have the money that they have, and they're able to continue to build that money generation after generation? It's because of life insurance. There was an article that came out a couple weeks ago about, it didn't say the name of the person, but some billionaire somewhere, I want to say, is trying to buy a $200 million policy or something like that. It's like some massive amount of money. And I shouldn't say trying, he's actually buying it. He's paying, a premium on a policy that large. But why is he doing that? Because he is trying to protect his family. And what better way to do it than with life insurance proceeds, which are tax-free? And life insurance, I mean, I'm not going to get into all specifics of it because this is not to berate anybody or to tell you that you ain't shit if you don't have a life insurance policy. But I will say that it is very irresponsible to have children or anybody that cares about you, and you decide that it's not important to have life insurance just because people treated you that way, and actually me as well. That's because we were treated a certain way and weren't left anything, or people didn't think that it was worth it to provide for us. Does not mean that you should pass down that same mentality, because one, it's toxic, two, it's inaccurate, three, it's ignorant as hell. And just because you struggle shouldn't mean that your kids should struggle too. It should mean that you want things to be easier for them and not just as hard or harder as it was for you. That's my soapbox on life insurance. Somebody said they're a life agent. So Kay Baldwin in the comment section is a life agent. So I'm sure he can attest to this as well. And I'm sure that he probably has stories for days about families who the person dies and there is literally no money left to do anything. Oh my God, I can't even tell you how many people have died in my own family, immediate family. And over the years, starting from when I was a child and can remember my first funeral, that do not have headstones to this day because nobody had money to buy a headstone, right? I can't tell you. I've lost count of how many people that's happened to. And I know that some of you have that same exact experience, that same exact scenario in your family. What do people do? They say, well, you're going to pitch in on it. We're going to get to when we get to it. And 10 years go by. And your grandma, great grandma, cousin, auntie, that everybody loved when they were alive is still laying in the ground with an unmarked grave because nobody has money to come up with, to pay $1,000 for a headstone. And I think that it is tragic. It's tragic beyond belief. So to the extent that you can go get a policy, I wouldn't even care at this point, honestly, if people got like $20,000 policies, which are stupid cheap. Even if you're sick, right? Even if you have been pronounced with cancer or terminal illness, you can still get a $15,000 or $20,000 or $25,000 policy for like maybe $100 a month. So of course that's expensive for such a small amount of coverage. But when you've been diagnosed with cancer, the life insurance company, they're not going to run you a 6-figure policy, and they're definitely not going to run you a 7-figure policy. So you can just, all that stuff is off the table. But even if you just got money to pay for a funeral, I think that's progress, and I'm willing to accept that first step with the goal that people will see that, okay, we had $15,000 paid for this funeral. Let me see if I can leave my child 50. Right? I don't know about you, but $50,000, $20,000, like when I was in college, like that would have been a win. I mean, you hear me? $25,000, and it costs so little money. It costs so little money to make that happen. And I just want all of us to, watch this live stream, get online like we do everything else, type in life insurance quote, get a policy from Gerber, and just make it happen. Like you could be covered by this time, tomorrow. Like it's just that easy to do. And I just think it's personally very irresponsible not to do so. All right. So today we were talking about the fact that all these rich people, I was about to say rich white people, but I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to be more politically correct. But a lot of the wealthiest people around the country and around the world are preparing for a recession. And they're doing things like taking money out of the stock market and putting it into and just converting it to cash, or of course relying on real estate and some other things as well. But I think that for us, what we can do, those of us who don't have a few $100 million or $1 billion at our disposal, I think that it's important to start a business if you have not already, because again, it will save you money in your taxes, and you might even get a tax refund for the first time, like me. If you're used to owing the IRS. So there's one thing. I think that if you have a business, you should look into paying your children. You can pay them up to $12,000 for a year to work for your business. It does have to be legitimate. You can't just make it up. You got to like show proof that they're actually doing stuff for the company. But people do it. Rich, wealthy people do it, more often than not. I think that, of course, lowering your interest rate is great, reducing your debt. I don't think it's time to go buy a car or get an expensive mortgage. I'm just not a fan of that level of debt. I I was actually thinking about cars the other day because I got rid of my baby Toyota, which I love that car, at a Highlander, and then I got I call it my mommy van, a minivan, because it's so comfortable and I love it. But I'm like, I could really get a much better car, but I don't really need a much better, like that. That's the fight between the person I am now and the person that I was years ago, and just the condition that I've received over the years. I don't really need anything else, but I want something else because I don't know, maybe just living in America, right? But first world problems. So let me move on. So starting a business, lowering your interest rate, reducing your debt. Send your children to junior college as opposed to a 4-year college. I think that's great. Build business credit. Go watch that video about how to build business credit that I did a couple weeks ago. I think maybe 2 months ago, I did that video. Follow those instructions. It's really, really easy. I promise you. Learn how to make money without a job, you guys. Stop deriving your value from stop letting other people tell you what your value is. Stop letting other people tell you what your value is. I can assure you that wherever you work, even if you're being paid really, really well, you're still being underpaid because that's just how things work. I was explaining to my son the other day because he's into football now, and he was talking about being a football player. And I was just like, really? You want to play in the NFL? I was like, huh, okay. So why do you want to play in the NFL? And he was like, oh, because, they get paid a lot of money. I was like, they do? And so we went and talked about it. I got on my computer, like, here, let's sit down. Let me learn you a few things, young man. He's only 7. At the end of the day, he's going to know that the real money is made by the owners and not by the employees, period. That's true for the NFL. It's true for wherever you work at today. The real money is made by those who own, not by those who actually do the work. So I say all that to say, figure out how you can make money without it. I promise you, something that people will pay you for. Right? I'm not saying go make up no BS and sell it, but I am saying talk to your friends and family and say, hey, what am I good at? You'll be shocked at the responses that you receive. So figure out how to do that. Buy land and property at the auction. So to do that, I've mentioned it before. I'll mention it again very briefly. So if you don't know where to start, where to begin, what to do, etc., the first thing that you should do is contact your local tax assessor in whatever county that you live in or whatever county that you want to buy in, because you can buy in other counties around the country. As a matter of fact, you can live in another country and buy here. I found that out from the people from China investing in Chicago. And also when I was talking to the people in Memphis, Tennessee, they have investors that live in Brazil who buy properties, in Memphis. So people are not living here and are taking advantage of it. So if you don't know, I would say contact the local tax assessor where you live and say, hey, when is the next tax sale? And that's literally like the first step. And you could do that, today. It's still pretty early in the day. Most offices are still open. Say, when is the next tax sale? How often are they held? Where's a list of properties? Is there a registration fee? How do I register? Is the sale online or is it in person? What's the starting bid price? Like, these are all the what, right? All the basic things that you have to do. And I promise you, now you will get one of my friends on the Brown Girls Do Invest tour, Courtney. She's from Philly, and she made sure to tell me that Philly they don't answer the phone, and if they do, they're not going to tell you anything, because she said they just ignorant like that. You will run into that depending upon where you're trying to buy. Chicago, I can say, is probably similar to that in that they typically don't answer the phone, and they almost always will have an attitude. So you can expect that. But if you live in a place that's, not a big city, kind of a smaller urban environment, you should be okay. And if they don't ever answer the phone where you live, just go in person and go into the tax assessor's office. Sometimes there's even a separate department for tax sales. Just go talk to them. Again, they're going to have an attitude. They're not going to be very happy, but you just have to go in there and play nice and get the information that you need. So that's really the first step. Now, as far as analyzing the list, determining market values, all that other stuff, that's the stuff that, people pay me to show them how to do. But the basic stuff, I want you to go and take those first steps today, or, before the end of the year, so that you can see that, one, it's a real thing, and two, that it works, and three, you can actually make it happen. All right. So that's all I got for you guys. Oh, and get life insurance. If you don't know where to start, Transamerica is a great company. So is Gerber. Primerica also for term life insurance. They have a pretty good reputation for that. All the other stuff, y'all don't start commenting about that. But as far as term life insurance, they are solid and they're A-rated. Can't beat it. All right. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching. Sending you love, light, peace, blessings, grace, and clarity. Make sure that you drop some comments or suggestions down below. If you have other ideas on how to prepare for a recession, I do think that's something that we should all be doing. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out and on your way in. I appreciate that as well. And for those of you who are in or near Dallas, I'm doing an event. My first live event for the year. I was trying to get it through the year without doing one, but of course I couldn't make that happen. It's December the 17th at 6:00 in the evening. The link is in my Facebook group, and I also posted down below as well in the comments. But this event is for, property. People are interested in property preservation. I'm going to talk about the 7 deadly mistakes that new vendors make that kill their businesses within the first 6 to 12 months. It's going to be a very actionable, great event, not just like a feel good, hey girl, what's going on, Black Girl Magic session, even though those are cool, but this is actually designed to help you, consistently get to 5-figure months and continue to have 5-figure months in your business. So that's what this event is for. So if you're interested in that, again, you can join my Facebook group, Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, or I'll post the link in the comments down below. All right. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.